So the Sennheiser Momentum 4s are a solid pair of ANC headphones from Sennheiser that have some major improvements on them that I've been asking for since both the Momentum 3s and PXC 552s came out. The Momentum 4s now have a monstrous battery life, ANC that rivals the Sony 1000 XM5s, and a new proper hardshell carrying case. On paper, these things are amazing. But if you're a Momentum 3 or PXC 552 connoisseur, and if you're upgrading to the Momentum 4s, then there will be times where you miss your old headphones. Regarding pricing, the Momentum 4s have a retail price of $350, the same as the PXC 552s when they first came out, and $50 less than the Momentum 3s when they first came out. Now, I'm not entirely sure that we'll see an upgraded version of the PXC 552s. I really hope that we do. But in this review, we're going to be comparing the Momentum 4s to both the Momentum 3s and PXC 552s, because the Momentum 4s are pulling overtime here. Nonetheless, if you want to pick these headphones up, they'll be linked down below, or you can press on the YouTube shopping button. Just give it a try. And if you want to further support the channel, check out the merch shelf down below. I've made some shirts and hoodies that look and feel great. And if you've been watching me for a while, you know I can be very particular. So I'll only set my name on something that I'm really proud of. Now first, let's talk about these cases. Both of Sennheiser's previous headphones came included with premium feeling cases. But the problem here is that these cases were soft shell, so you'd always be worried about crushing your headphones if they're stored in your backpack. And with the Momentum 3s, their case is just super thick because these headphones don't lay down flat. But now, we've got the Momentum 4's case. Now, this is a very stiff hard shell case, so your headphones are going to be perfectly safe while they're in their case, which is great if you're a commuter. The Momentum 4's case is also significantly thinner than the Momentum 3's case because the Momentum 4s now have a lay-flat design. The Momentum 4's case is just a little thicker than the PXC 552's case. You'll barely notice it. However, what you will notice is that the Momentum 4's case does have a larger footprint than the PXC 552's case. Overall, this case is doable for constant traveling, but I would still prefer either the Bose QC45 or Sony 1000 XM4s for constant traveling because their cases are noticeably smaller. But overall, Sennheiser has greatly improved their carrying case on the Momentum 4s from both the Momentum 3s and PXC 552s. But also, one new feature with this new carrying case is that when you take these headphones out of their case, they'll automatically power on, and when you put them back into their case, they'll automatically power off. Now, Sennheiser has already done a similar thing with both the Momentum 3s and PXC 552s, except they aren't reliant on the case. With the Momentum 3s, when you open them up, they'll power on, and when you collapse them, they'll power off. And with the PXC 552s, when you unfold them, they'll power on, and when you fold them flat, they'll power off. Now, thankfully, the Momentum 4s aren't fully reliant on their case to power them off. You can still turn them off by pressing and holding on their multi-purpose button, and you can turn them back on by pressing and holding on their multi-purpose button again. But one issue that I did find with the Momentum 4s is that if you have their case upside down, then the Momentum 4s will power on and get connected to your phone. Because right now you can just see that the Momentum 4s just powered on and now they're connected to my phone. And if I were to go and press play, you know, they're not playing through my phone, they're playing through the headphones. I wonder if you can hear that. So yeah, I feel that this is an issue that you should look out for, either if you're a daily commuter or a constant flyer. And personally, I feel that this is an issue that you just shouldn't have to deal with. And unfortunately, you can't turn this smart feature off. So until either Sennheiser fixes this issue or allows you to turn this smart feature off, you're going to have to be mindful about how you hold or store these headphones. But now let's talk about the headphones themselves. The Momentum 4s have an all-new design to them that lands somewhere between the Momentum 3s and PXC 552s. The Momentum 4s aren't as sleek looking as the PXC 552s, but they aren't as rustic looking as the Momentum 3s. Now, definitely, one of the biggest things that you're going to miss about the Momentum 3s are the finer materials. The Momentum 3s have these beautiful exposed stainless steel arms, and they've got this amazing feeling lambskin leather on both the headband and earpads. Whereas with the Momentum 4s, these headphones are a little more mainstream. They have padded silicone underneath their headband, they've got a hit of fabric on the top of their headband, their arms are plastic, and their earpads are now leatherette. And unfortunately, this leatherette feels very synthetic, very plasticky, similar to the leatherette on the PXC 552s. However, after a few weeks of use, the leatherette on both of these headphones does soften up. But still, the leatherette on the Momentum 4s pales in comparison to the lambskin leather that you'll find on the Momentum 3s, and this leatherette doesn't feel as good as the leatherette that you'll find on either of Bose's headphones, and it doesn't feel as good as the Sony 1000XM5's leatherette. Now, just like with the PXC 552s, the Momentum 4s have a mostly plastic body, but unlike the PXC 552s, the Momentum 4s don't have any soft touch surfaces. But thankfully, the Momentum 4s aren't using any recycled plastics like the Sony 1000XM5s. So overall, I will say that the Momentum 4s feel more premium than the PXC 552s, but they don't feel anywhere near as premium as the Momentum 3s. But now let's talk about fit. Now, technically, yes, the Momentum 4s are big head approved, but these headphones do have a rather firm fit to them, and they fit much firmer than both the Momentum 3s and PXC 552s. I can wear these headphones for hours on end, but I'm never happy about it. But then there's their weight. The Momentum 4s weigh in at 295 grams, which is an improvement from the Momentum 3s, which weigh in at 307 grams. But it's a far cry from the PXC 552s, which weigh in at 227 grams, making them ultra lightweight. And when compared to a few other headphones out there, the Momentum 4s are noticeably heavier, because the Bose NC700s weigh in at 264 grams, the Sony 1000XM4s weigh in at 254 grams, the Sony 1000XM5s weigh in at 250 grams, and the Bose QC45s weigh in at 234 grams. But hey, at least they're not in AirPod Max territory, which weigh in at a whopping 384 grams. Overall, with the Momentum 4s, these aren't a pair of headphones that you'll forget that you're wearing while you're sitting down, and you'll feel them shifting around if you're walking around with them on. And then there's the matter of the padding on their headband. Like I briefly mentioned earlier, the Momentum 4s have padded silicone underneath their headband. However, this padding isn't the softest, so I have found that after a while of use, this headband does create a pressure point. Now, it's not a full-on hotspot like with some other headphones, but pressure points were never an issue with either the Momentum 3s or PXC 552s. And finally, there's just the earpads on these headphones. Now, these earpads will be able to accommodate average-size ears, but these earpads are significantly smaller than either the Momentum 3's earpads, and especially the PXC 552's earpads. So if you have really large ears or ears that stick out a lot, then you might want to go with the Bose QC45s, or if you want spacious earpads and really good sound quality, then you might want to go with the Bowers & Wilkins PX7S2s. So overall, the Sennheiser Momentum 4s are a pair of okay fitting headphones, but they are objectively less comfortable than both the Momentum 3s and PXC 552s, and they wouldn't be my top pick for long flights. The Momentum 4s have a rather firm fit to them, their headband could use some softer padding, their earpads are less spacious, and these headphones are still a little on the heavier side. Now, before we move into the tech specs, I do want to let people know that the earpads on the Momentum 4s are replaceable, but if you take them off, you're gonna have to get a new pair with new glue because these earpads are glued on. They don't snap on like either the B&W PX7S2s or AirPod Max, so don't go trying to remove these earpads unless you already have a pair of replacements ready to go. But now let's talk about tech specs. Regarding battery life, this is perhaps the most impressive thing about the Momentum 4s. Now, the Momentum 4s have an advertised battery life of 60 hours, and that's with their active noise cancellation turned on. And I will admit, it has been a real challenge to just drain its battery life. Because for comparison's sake, the Momentum 3s are only good for around 17 hours of playback time with their ANC turned on, and the PXC 552s are only good for about 20 hours with their ANC turned on. But with both the PXC 552s and Momentum 3s, if you wanted to, you could always extend their battery life by using them with their active noise cancellation turned off. But unfortunately, as of right now, it doesn't look like you can completely turn off the active noise cancellation on the Momentum 4s. You either have to use them with their ANC turned on or with their ambient mode turned on, very similar to what's going on with the Bose QC45s. And personally, I would just really like it if Sennheiser would just allow us to completely turn off the ANC on these headphones, so that if we wanted to, we could always extend their battery life even more. Now, when it comes to charging these headphones, the Momentum 4s charge via a USB-C port. Now, I know this sounds very obvious to point out in 2022, but the PXC 552s were charging via a micro USB port up until now, which was weird when they first came out because the Momentum 3s charge via a USB-C port. Nonetheless, the Momentum 4s do charge faster than these other two headphones. They can get fully charged in 2 hours, and if you were to plug them in for 5 minutes from a dead battery, they're going to get you 4 hours playback time, which is pretty standard nowadays. But now let's talk about Bluetooth connectivity. Now, the Momentum 4s are using Bluetooth 5.2, but more importantly, these headphones can be connected to 2 devices at the same time, which is good if you're a power user. However, I do have to point out that these headphones won't always automatically connect to your phone. On a semi-regular basis, I do have to go into my phone's Bluetooth menu and manually establish a connection with these headphones. Now, like I said, this doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen enough to where I have to point it out. And again, this is just one of those conveniences that you shouldn't have to deal with, especially on a pair of premium ANC headphones. And this was never an issue with any of Sennheiser's previous headphones. So hopefully Sennheiser will be able to fix this through a future firmware update. And as of the early September firmware updates, these headphones are still having this issue. But when it comes to overall performance, these headphones have zero latency across the board when watching movies or videos on your phone, whether you're using an iPhone or an Android device. And when it comes to audio codecs, the Momentum 4s have support for SBC and AAC, very standard, but they also have support for aptX and aptX Adaptive. Now, whether you're an iPhone or an Android user, AAC is going to work perfectly fine. However, if you do want to take advantage of aptX, you do have to be an Android user. But if you want to, you can always just use a wired connection with these headphones because they still have a 2.5mm audio jack, or you can also use their USB-C port as a wired connection. Now, if you do use the USB-C port on these headphones as a wired connection, they're going to stay powered on, they will get charged up, you can still use ANC, and you're still going to have your Bluetooth connection. So you can very easily switch from using a wired connection on your computer to using a wireless connection on your phone. However, if you do use the audio jack connection on these headphones, then you will lose your Bluetooth connectivity. Nonetheless, I am very happy to see all of the connectivity options that the Momentum 4s give you. I'm very happy to see that Sennheiser includes all of the necessary cables. Here's looking at you, Apple. And I also really like that the Momentum 4s have moved their USB-C port up a little bit so that it doesn't feel super awkward when you use a USB-C connection with these headphones like it was with the Momentum 3s, because their USB-C port was angled back a little bit. But now let's talk about sound. Now, the short of it is, yes, the Momentum 4s continue to sound and perform better than your more mainstream options, like let's say the Sony 1000XM5, Sony 1000XM4s, Bose QC45, or Bose NC700. And I do feel that the Momentum 4s sound a little better than the PXC 552s. But the Momentum 4s don't sound as good as the Momentum 3s. Now, as you'd expect, the Momentum 4s sound more open and have better instrument separation than your more mainstream options. And I feel that the instrument separation on the Momentum 4s is on par with that of the PXC 552s. However, the Momentum 4s just don't sound as open or make you feel as engulfed in your music like the Momentum 3s do. There's just something about the mids on the Momentum 3s that make them sound more present and better defined. And then there's the bass on these headphones. Now, with their stock EQ, Sennheiser's headphones have a balanced sound signature that allows the mids to shine through and the bass comes in strong when it has to. Now, with their stock EQ, the Momentum 4s will sometimes rattle your head a little bit, more than the PXC 552s. But the Momentum 3s will rattle your head a little more when compared to the Momentum 4s, and the bass on the Momentum 3s has more resonance to it, which I feel adds to that engulfing experience that I feel the Momentum 3s do a better job at than the Momentum 4s. Now, with the Momentum 4s, you can go in and adjust their EQ to your liking, and if you want that head-rattling bass, the Momentum 4s can do that, but they won't do it as well as the Momentum 3s. The bass on the Momentum 3s simply resonates more and kicks harder, which is something I sometimes enjoy depending on what I'm listening to. And there's also the fact that the Momentum 3s simply get a little louder than the Momentum 4s as well. So overall, the Momentum 4s easily sound better than your more mainstream options thanks to their superior instrument separation and more dynamic bass that kicks and resonates a decent amount. I feel the Momentum 4s sound better than the PXC 552s thanks to their more dynamic bass, but I feel the Momentum 3s sound a touch better than the Momentum 4s. The Momentum 3s sound more open, their mids have more character, their bass kicks harder and resonates deeper, and they get a little louder as well. If you've never had the Momentum 3s, the Momentum 4s sound great, but if you've been daily driving the Momentum 3s, it is going to be hard to let them go for the Momentum 4s. But next up, there's the MIDI controls on these headphones. Now, the Momentum 4s are using a touchpad, just like the PXC 552s. And this is a noticeable change from the Momentum 3s, which are using physical buttons. Now, like the touchpad on the PXC 552s, the touchpad on the Momentum 4s have variable inputs. As in, if you do a small swipe, they'll adjust your volume by one step, and if you do large swipes, then they'll adjust your volume by multiple steps. And overall, I like this because it makes this touchpad feel more natural. But the thing that I did notice about this touchpad is that it's just way too sensitive for my taste. And I did notice an above average amount of accidental inputs. This touchpad is just way more sensitive than the touchpad on the PXC 552s, which I feel is just easier to use. And it's also more sensitive than the touchpads found on Sony's headphones and Bose's headphones. Honestly, the touchpad on the Momentum 4s really made me miss the physical control buttons on the Momentum 3s. And then there are the wear sensors on these headphones. Now, when you take these headphones off, they'll automatically pause your music, and when you put them back on, they'll start playing music again. Now, overall, the wear sensors on these headphones work very well when they decide to work, because like half the time, it's almost as if these headphones forget that they have their wear sensors turned on, and they simply just won't do anything. Now, personally, I don't really care for wear sensors on my headphones, so I usually just turn that feature off. But I did want to point this quirk out because I've never had this issue with any of Sennheiser's previous headphones. And again, hopefully Sennheiser will be able to fix this through a firmware update. But now let's talk about the ANC on these headphones. Now, the ANC on the Momentum 4s is a huge improvement from the ANC on the Momentum 3s. The Momentum 4s block out as much noise as the Sony 1000XM5s, which is very surprising to be honest, whereas the Momentum 3s are a pair of premium ANC headphones that block out as much noise as a pair of mid-tier ANC headphones. And the Momentum 4s block out a ton of noise without too much cabin pressure, which is great. But so that you can see for yourself, we're going to jump into an ANC test. So, like you may have just seen, the Momentum 4s block out significantly more noise than the Momentum 3s, and they block out more noise than the PXC 552s. Now, the PXC 552s have always had decent performing ANC, but I always found it odd that they did a better job of blocking out chatter than they did blocking out road noise. Because usually it's easier for ANC headphones to block out constant low frequency sounds than it is random higher frequency sounds. But like you may have just seen, the Momentum 4s just brutally go after those constant low frequency sounds, and they simply just block out more road noise than the PXC 552s, which is good if you plan on using these headphones on an airplane or bus. And when it comes to chatter, they do a better job of blocking out those random higher frequency sounds. Overall, I'm thoroughly impressed by the ANC on the Momentum 4s. The Momentum 4s are in the same league as the Sony 1000 XM5s and AirPod Max, but they have much less cabin pressure. But then there's the Ambient Mode on these headphones. Now, the Momentum 4s have a proper Ambient Mode, meaning they can pump in sound and play music at the same time, just like how you can with the Momentum 3s. But this is something that the PXC 552s just simply don't do. Now overall, I'm glad that the Momentum 4s have an ambient mode and it gets the job done, but it is not my favorite. For starters, this microphone array lets in a lot of wind noise when your ambient mode is turned on, but it doesn't let in that much wind noise when you're blocking out noise. But let's say you're using the ambient mode on these headphones while in an airport, where wind noise isn't a factor. It's still not my favorite because this ambient mode prioritizes noise pollution over people's voices. Even if someone is talking directly at you, it can be a little difficult to understand them when compared to the Momentum 3s or any other pair of headphones out there that have an ambient mode. So, like I said, the ambient mode on the Momentum 4s is usable and it gets the job done. But it's not my favorite and it could use some work. And I think Sennheiser can easily fix this through a software update. But something that I do like about the Momentum 4s is that they now have an active ambient mode, meaning that if there's a sudden loud noise, they will automatically turn off their ambient mode, saving your ears from getting blasted like this. Major headphone warning if you're wearing headphones. And then, when that sudden loud noise stops, they'll turn their ambient mode back on. Whereas with the Momentum 3s, they just let in everything. Now, an active ambient mode is still fairly rare, but there are a handful of other headphones and earbuds that do this, but now that Apple is prominently showcasing this feature on the AirPods Pro 2, I feel that we're going to see this feature on more headphones in the future. But also, if properly set up, the Momentum 4s also have a conversation mode, where if you double tap on their touchpad, they'll automatically pause your music and pump in all of the ambient sound around you, so that you can quickly talk to someone without having to remove your headphones like this. And then when you double tap on the touchpad, they'll go back to normal again. Now, like I said, the Momentum 4s have to be properly set up to do this, but this is a feature that is also found on both the Momentum 3s and PXC 552s, and it really does come in handy if you're flying. And also, I need to point out that the touchpad on the Momentum 4s has multi-touch support, and you can pinch and zoom to either block out noise or let noise in. Now, with other headphones, you can press on their ANC button to cycle between their noise control modes. But with the Momentum 4s, you have more granular control directly from the headphones themselves. But finally, here's the microphone test. Now, all of Sennheiser's headphones do have decent sounding microphones on them for phone calls. But I do feel that the Momentum 3s have the worst performing microphone here, and while in a quiet room, they can sound a little robotic. Whereas with the Sennheiser PXC 552s, these sound more natural. And I feel that the microphone on the Momentum 4s sounds very natural as well. But I do feel that the microphone on the PXC 552s sounds just a little more natural. However, the Momentum 4s are trying to block out this noise pollution, because right now, the Momentum 4s are trying to block out this road noise. But I do feel that my voice is getting pushed down a good amount, but then there are just random times where it just gets super elevated. However, with the PXC 552s, these aren't really blocking out any road noise. And neither are the Momentum 3s, because these things are just letting in everything. And the same thing can be said when it comes to blocking out chatter. These headphones are just letting in everything. Whereas with the PXC 552s, these are trying to reduce this chatter and they aren't interfering with my voice too much. And finally, there are the Momentum 4s, which are also trying to block out this chatter. Now, personally, I think the Momentum 4s do a better job of blocking out chatter than they do blocking out road noise, because this time around, my voice doesn't sound super shallow. And I do feel that the Momentum 4s sound a little clearer than the PXC 552s when they're trying to block out chatter. Overall, I feel that the microphone on the Momentum 4s is decent, and it is an overall upgrade from its two predecessors. But with all that being said, on paper, the Sennheiser Momentum 4s look like a spectacular pair of ANC headphones. And there's a lot to like about these headphones. They truly have incredible battery life that lives up to the hype. They block out a ton of noise without a whole lot of cabin pressure. These headphones sound great. You can use them with an audio jack or USB-C wired connection. And they now come included with a super sturdy carrying case. However, there are just some quirks about these headphones that are just too hard to ignore. First off, on a regular basis, you're going to have to go into your Bluetooth menu and connect to these headphones, because sometimes they just won't do it automatically. You have to be mindful about how you store these headphones in their case, because if your case is upside down or standing upright, they'll get powered on. And sometimes your proximity sensors just refuse to work, even though you have them turned on. And then there's the matter of their comfort. Yes, these headphones are big head approved and I can wear them for long stretches at a time, but I find them to be less comfortable than both the PXC 552s and Momentum 3s. And finally, there's the matter of their sound. Yes, the Momentum 4s sound good and they sound better than your more mainstream ANC headphones, but I still find myself reaching for the Momentum 3s over the Momentum 4s. Overall, the Momentum 4s are a decent pair of ANC headphones, but if you're upgrading from either the Momentum 3s or PXC 552s, you're going to find yourself missing your old headphones from time to time. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit the like button and get subscribed. If you want to pick any of the products up, they'll be linked down below. And if you want to further support the channel, check out the merch. I made some shirts and hoodies that look and feel great. And you know I can be very particular, so I'll only slap my name on something if I'm really proud of it.